Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here in June. A very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. If you're feeling charitable, please smash the subscribe button and the like button. And please do follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. And welcome to Sunday's edition of the dceu Daily. The power of the Release the Snyder Cut hashtag. Wow, who would have thought, right? The company that own Warner Brothers, Warner Media, and HBO Max would be encouraging us to hashtag Release the Snyder Cut. This is what AT&T were doing yesterday. I was so shocked. It started with a gif of Benjamin McKenzie on Gotham as Gordon, encouraging us. Let's everyone hear us, Release the Snyder Cut community. Then there were other hashtags. These people running AT&T social media are really on the pulse. They understand that Release the Snyder Cut now is their biggest marketing push for people to subscribe to HBO Max. Release the Snyder Cut, release the air cut. Wow. I can't believe we're in this world. Is it a dystopian future? Where the company that own Warner Brothers are encouraging this now. Don't forget, it was only 3 weeks ago that Andy Singmore, right, actually said that Warner Brothers get wound up by the hashtag. They hate the hashtag. They hate hearing about it. Well, Andy, your lies and misinformation are being exposed. Every day we have receipts, and we are going to have proof of purchase for a very, very long time. But I tell you something, it is amazing. You know, just hashtagging it with the permission of AT&T was absolutely nuts. So if anyone can comment down below and let me know how big the trending numbers are, because that's very important. And I don't want you to think, oh, not worth doing it anymore. It is. If we hashtag enough, they're going to let Zach go to work on his continuing DCEU plan. And most important of all, releasing the air cut is so important that we see David Ayer's cut of Suicide Squad before we see Zack Snyder's Justice League, because that, my friends, makes narrative sense. Now let's talk about Ray Porter. What a gentleman Ray Porter is. Ray Porter's I've not had full conversations with Ray before, but he's thanked me before on comments and things like that when I've got into his mentions. He's a very, very nice and obviously very, very talented man. Now, there's an article with him saying a few words, and I'm going to read it out from comicbook.com. Ray really is an honorary member of the Release the Snyder Cut community. Now, of course, he was under an NDA, so he couldn't really say much at the time. But it did get leaked that he did do the voice for Zack Snyder's Darkseid. Now, he could never say, yeah, it's me, but there were hints there. He did everything by the book. And I know that Ray was always very concerned that this would get him into trouble with Warner Brothers, as he says in the interview I'm about to read out. But I think that he feels that Warner Brothers have always been very fair to him, and there was no blowback, which is great. So let's see what Ray Porter, an honorary member of the Release the Snyder Cut community, has to say. Zack Snyder's Justice League actor Ray Porter breaks silence on keeping Darkseid secret since 2016. Actor Ray Porter, who for the first time publicly confirmed his role as Darkseid in Zack Snyder's Justice League, releasing on HBO Max in 2021, is breaking a 4-year silence. The Man of Steel and Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice filmmaker previously acknowledged rumours Porter was cast in the role in a 2019 post on social media platform Vero. But Porter, who was cut from the version of Justice League completed by Joss Whedon, released to theatres in November 2017, has been granted permission by Snyder and Studio Warner Brothers to address what became something of an open secret. Here's Ray. There's stuff that I don't want to give away because we get to see it now, Porter told the Lightcast podcast, adding he worked on Snyder's Justice League near the end of the production in late 2016. I just stayed quiet about it because I didn't want to give anything away, and I had signed that NDA, and I don't want to mess with Warner Brothers. They've always been very nice to me, and I don't want to make them mad. After becoming aware of the Release the Snyder Cut movement, Porter supported the cause from afar, But when word of Porter's casting leaked online, the actor recalled, "I was really worried that this would splash back on me somehow. And they've been super kind and really great. So yeah, I basically have been sitting on this for a really long time." I know everybody kind of knew, Paula added. I know it's sort of old hat and everything, but personally I just wanted to say it. And you can imagine that, bursting at the seams to confirm it. Paul confirmed his role in a viral tweet that has been favorited more than, 15,000 times, is it? It was a relief for Porter, who recalled panicking over direct messages on Twitter, inquiring about his then secret role in Justice League. "I got messages saying, 'Did you play Darkseid in Justice League?' I immediately went into panic mode and I shot off an email to Warner Bros. And I shot off an email to DC like I didn't say anything. He said. "They were great. They were like, 'No, it's okay.' But I still wasn't clear and I didn't want to do anything that was inappropriate. I didn't want to muddy the waters. Also, at this point, there was no idea that this was going to be a thing, that the Snyder Cut was going to come out." Paul was among those watching the live stream where Snyder unveiled confirmation the fabled Justice League Snyder Cut is coming to HBO Max streaming service. He then received the go-ahead from the director to make a public announcement, tweeting, "Hi, I'm Ray. I played Darkseid in Zack Snyder's Justice League. There, it's out now. Brilliant." After I texted Zack and I said, "Can I come out of the Darkseid closet now?" And he responded, "Yes," Porter said. "I guess in a way it was kind of selfish for me to be able to finally say, 'Yes, I did this.' I was like, oh, thank God. And I can finally say this. I didn't realize it would blow up as big as it did." Yeah, pretty neat article there. Look, Ray Porter, as I said, is a really lovely man. He's been so kind to us in the community. And, I love giving good people support, and I hope he gets lots more work, and I think he is getting lots more work. And it's just great that we're going to hear his performance as Darkseid. Darkseid's going to be the Justice League bloody movie. Imagine people not wanting to see that. Imagine these salty bloggers still crying. Well, we're going to get the most epic, awesome Justice League movie ever. What is not to like? Look at this, baby. Look at this, my friends. Can you see it? I think we can all see this one. Look at that. I do apologise. I don't have all the text so we can have it on screen. But look, this is a picture of Jared Leto's Joker posted by David Ayer yesterday, if we're counting, in European time. What a beautiful picture. Now, he looks like to be holding a gun, I think. He's certainly splattered with blood. It looks like he's just killed someone. Doesn't that look compellingly frightening? Wow, I love it. And David Ayer is certainly playing the game. And I thought Zack Snyder was very clever at playing this game for 2.5 years. But David is taking it to another level. And don't forget, he's doing it via Twitter, which is a bigger reactive platform. So you're going to get as much love as you do hate. One thing about David is, oh, yes, I love you, Joker. You're a brilliant version of the Joker. Anyway, yes, so David is really good at responding to the hate and the love. And he's also very interesting because sometimes you think he's hinting it's going to happen. And then he makes some big official statement that it's not up to him, blah, blah, blah. It's interesting. He's certainly playing the game. How do I read the game so far? It's very interesting because I've already said, narratively, we need to see the Ayer cut before Zack Snyder's Justice League. That really isn't an opinion or anything to debate. It's a fact, right? Even in the theatrical cut, even in the extended cut, you can tell that this is a movie before Justice League. It was even released before Justice League. We need to see it before Zack Snyder's Justice League. There's some very interesting goings on, and this is why I said it was very important yesterday to hashtag when they told us the hashtag. So if AT&T ever tell you to hashtag, if RT Snyder Cut ever tell you to start hashtagging randomly, don't care if you're banging your husband or wife or boyfriend or whatever, right? You stop and you hashtag this. It is so damn important. But wow, look at this. Look at this. This is amazing. Boys and girls, men and women, whoever's out there watching this, this is an amazing picture, right? Give me some of that. So for people saying there's not much to add to the theatrical cut and the extended cut of Suicide Squad is absolutely wrong. We need to see this movie, and the thing that we don't know is, are we being played with? Are we being teased? But don't forget, Zack Snyder had the phone call from Toby Emmerich just after the November 17th, 2019 event. And we were still being encouraged to hashtag, to do events. That's interesting. I think that was to give him, bargaining power, negotiating power. And quite right too. So we did as we were told. We are the soldiers and he was the general. And now, and this is why I said, this is why I said to Chris Wong Svensson on Twitter, you shouldn't have got rid of that tinfoil hat. Because your tinfoil, my man, is still needed. I have tried to do my own tinfoil hat around my Superman cap. It's just not working. Chris, maybe you can give me some instructions. Because, oh boy, do I need it. My gut feeling is that the air cut has been approved. And it's going to happen. And it's going to happen before Zack Snyder's Justice League. It just makes sense, especially because HBO Max, Warner Brothers and AT&T do want to have a Zack Snyder DCEU Warner Max kind of franchise on HBO Max. So this would make sense. And plus, this is their marketing tool now, right? This is a big moment. This is something we've dreamt about and fantasized about for 2.5 years. We thought this was never going to happen. We thought Zack Snyder's DCEU was dead. We thought we were only going to have the cinematic side of it, the Batman, the Suicide Squad, Black Adam, all very exciting. But there's no reason why we can't have that and that. And this is why I believe that David Ayer's Suicide Squad is a thing, is going to happen, the air cut, and it's going to stream on HBO Max. Well, that's obvious. That's the only place it can be. Now, timing is important. Look, I have a hunch about launch, but it would be a bit dumb if it was launch and they didn't tell us. But it would be very interesting if they told us like a day before they did it or something like that, a day before launch. It probably isn't going to be on launch. But I think it depends. Look, he said yesterday it still needs a lot of work to it. Now, is he telling the truth? That's the thing. We just don't know. If it does, if it's just in a little, in a little chip somewhere and it needs editing and sorting out, and then it can't be available on launch, and it probably won't be. It's just something that I have a theory about. So I would think that even if they basically, right, if he takes the chip now and starts editing it and doing what he needs to do, it can be ready by some point next year. Zack Snyder's Justice League it's just marketed as 2021. It doesn't have a specific date. Don't forget about that. That's very interesting. It's a coming soon situation right now and not a specific date. That's interesting, and I want a date for that as soon as possible, by the way, because that's when I won't be paranoid about the thing not happening. Obviously, it's happening, but you still get paranoid, right? I believe that the air cut of Suicide Squad will definitely stream before Zack Snyder's Justice League. That's right and proper, that we start to recontinue Zack Snyder's DCEU, and I'm up for it. The question is, when the air cut is announced, do I do what I did with Joss Whedon's Justice League? I'm kind of in two minds of breaking that Blu-ray up, because I've got the Blu-ray and 4K set as well. And actually, the extended edition of David Ayer's Suicide Squad is only on Blu-ray. Like with the Ultimate Edition of BVS, they're both on 4K, and that's the form I've got them in, the format I've got them in. So I don't know if I'm going to do that, but I probably would do it. It would break my heart, but let's be honest. And I know the extended edition of Suicide Squad is more like what David saw, but it's still not his ultimate vision for the Suicide Squad. So I think we can make an event of it and destroy both those Blu-rays, rip that up, and start anew and recontinue Zack Snyder's DCEU. There's a really neat little article from Screen Rant, and this is by Rebecca Van Aker, right? And I will read this in a minute. Now, I just want to query something that Grace Randolph said the other day. And she said that there's no special effects houses being... I don't know if I mentioned this yesterday, but she did say that no special effects houses are going to be working on the Snyder Cut. Now, this is actually proven to be true. No, sorry, proven to be untrue and false. And I'll tell you for why. Because in that Hollywood Reporter article, Deb Snyder did say that one of the reasons they didn't want to postpone what they had planned for the Snyder Cut now, rather than waiting and postponing things because of COVID-19, was because many, many effects houses are sitting on their hands and they need the work. So Deb wanted to give effects houses some work to do. So, in fact, you've got to be careful what Grace Randolph says. She has said something a little bit more positive, though, and that Zack Snyder will put certain kind of hints and teases for Man of Steel 2. Now, that is interesting and exciting, but there's no parameters to kind of... I don't know if Zack's confirmed this or anything like that yet. Someone can get in the comments down below and tell me, but be very careful of Grace Randolph because she always boasts about being right, but a lot of the things she says are only because she's heard them from elsewhere. I mean, the canon change in Wonder Woman 1984, which I heard was true, but as I've seen a test screening for Wonder Woman 84 and I didn't see any canon change, I'm a bit suspicious about that, but I did hear there was multiple cuts, and there are some of the cuts with the canon change, and of course now, what does this mean? With the Snyder Cut coming out and the Ayer Cut potentially coming out. It's a very interesting situation which we must keep our eyes on. Anyway, why Superman chose the blue and red suit in Man of Steel and not the black suit? Man of Steel director Zack Snyder reveals why Superman Henry Cavill chose the red and blue suit rather than the black one in the movie. Director Zack Snyder reveals why Superman chose the red and blue suit rather than the black one in Man of Steel. Superman's suit, it is an important aspect of his superhero identity. In both the comics and other media, the black suit, sometimes called the recovery suit, is especially interesting to fans, as it's only been used sparingly in the DC Extended Universe. Superman wears it briefly in Man of Steel, however, only during the nightmare vision created by General Zod. Yep, that's true. Many fans have been hoping the black suit will make a more substantial appearance at some point. And of course, we know that's going to happen in the Snyder Cut. This also explains why fans were so excited by Snyder's reveal in December 2019 that Superman would have worn the black suit in his version of Justice League. What's more, fans will likely see this come to fruition as his Snyder Cut is now an actual project on the way at HBO Max. Considering the number of teasers Snyder has shared from his cut of Justice League, fans will see a lot more than just Superman's black suit. Just before the announcement about the Snyder Cut release, the director hosted a watch party for Man of Steel. On his Vero page, Snyder explains his reasoning for different aspects of the film, including why Superman chose the red and blue suit rather than a black one, according to Snyder. This is what Zack said. The House of L's family suit would be the black suit, but the suit facing out into the public, the suit he says you'll help them attain wonders, that suit is the suit of optimism. In my opinion, the red and blue suit to me is the more inclusive. It's a friendlier suit. And isn't it funny, right? Optimism. A word Zack's using for Superman, optimism. One thing he's accused of not giving Superman. Go back to Man of Steel. See how pure-hearted Henry's performance is in places as well as when he's sitting on the steps of the Kent farmhouse, right? With his mum Martha, played by the brilliant, effervescent Diane Lane. What a performance she's given in both MOS and BVS as well. But yeah, so I think that Zack has given optimism to the character of Superman, but he's also mixed it up with deconstruction, but there's been a reconstruction, and the reconstruction will continue in Zack Snyder's Justice League, which is very exciting. Snyder's comments about the suit choice make sense, especially considering how important image is to superheroes. While the black suit would have been an interesting change for Superman and Man of Steel, the red and blue suit is iconic for a reason. Even fans who were hoping to see the black suit in a bigger capacity during the movie have to understand the choice. It also helps that Snyder clearly gave Superman's decision a lot of thought. Plus, the director wasn't completely opposed to the idea. His picture of Cavill wearing the black suit in the Snyder Cut was even captioned, "My Superman." Right, we need to be clear about this, though, that he's wearing the black suit in Justice League because that's from the comics. It's his recovery suit. It's what he uses while he's in the chamber in the Fortress of Solitude to recover. Now, this is interesting. Before I go on with this brilliant article by Rebecca, there's no Fortress of Solitude yet, right? But there is the ship, right? And the ship's still out there, right? Am I right? Someone correct me. But so, or Zach did mention when Superman is on the mountain top with snow, that is his kind of fortress as well. So where is he going to go to recover after he comes back from the dead? Now, we do know that he will be infected by Darkseid's anti-life equation. So this begs the question, how does he recover after he comes back from the dead? Basically, it's Darkseid in Zack Snyder's Justice League that brings him back from the dead. So these are really, really interesting questions that I'm not sure have been posed to Zack, and I don't think I want to know them. Now I know I'm going to see the movie, I'd rather wait to see it all in Zack Snyder's Justice League. Unfortunately, the Snyder Cut of Justice League won't come out until 2021. We've waited thus far. There's no unfortunately, Rebecca. So fans have a while before they'll see the black suit in action there. It will also be interesting to see the role it plays, including how long Superman wears it, and for and in what context, as it is the recovery suit. Its presence in Justice League makes a lot of sense. However, until the Snyder Cut is released, fans will have to make do with this interesting Man of Steel reveal from Snyder. Well done, Rebecca. I really enjoyed that. Now, there is another time a movie Superman wore a black suit. It's in a deleted scene from Superman Returns. Anyone who's got the Superman Returns Blu-ray bonus disc will be able to see a brilliant Return to Krypton sequence. This Return to Krypton sequence from Superman Returns, Bryan Singer and Warner Brothers, should have been a pre-title sequence. It is stunning. He's in the Fortress of Solitude. He goes into his newly built ship, right, which looks like the ship he came to Earth with in Superman the movie. He finds the remains of Krypton. It's been destroyed. Then all of a sudden, there's kryptonite everywhere. He gets weak, and he has to go, and the ship takes him back home while he's actually dying, and he crash lands on the Kent farm. This should have been a pre-title sequence in Superman Returns. It would have changed everything from the movie, and it would have made the fans understand the compelling nature of him returning and trying to fit in to, ordinary human life again. But they didn't do that. So he has worn a black suit in a movie before. That's not been Zack Snyder. So, the black suit is a very important thing, but especially after he comes back to life, after he's been killed in the death of Superman. And ultimately, this is a death of Superman story. That's another exciting thing. He has yet to rise. This is actually the death of Superman's story. Now, whether we think it's too early or just right or whatever, it's happening. It's here. Don't forget that the ultimate cut of BVS is 3 hours. Man of Steel is 2.5 hours. What's that? 5.5 hours. 5.5 hours of screen time and storytelling, surely, is a good arc and long enough for us to see this death of Superman story. It's very different to what they did in the comics, but we already know Zack envisioned maybe in the future for us to see the proper Doomsday. I always had this little idea that maybe Doomsday could become part of the Justice League somehow, could be their Hulk. Interesting concept. Probably comic book fans would hate it, but it's interesting because I think Doomsday's kind of interesting character that you could do more with than's ever been done with him before. So there's that. So that's why he chose his suit. It's great to hear Zack talking about the red and blue suit being optimistic, because it is optimistic. And Zack believes in all that. Zack believes in all that, but he also believes in telling a character slow driven story where we start from Man of Steel, and then by the end of his Justice League trilogy, Superman is the character from the comics. That was always the plan. And some of you people, never gave the man a damn chance. And isn't it funny? You gave Jackson a chance to tell you nearly 9 hours of story in Lord of the Rings before everything happened right. That was okay. So why didn't Zack get the same grace? The Screen Rant are going with this article. Justice League Snyder Cut reportedly won't do reshoots with main cast. So we're going to read this, and I kind of touched on this yesterday. I may have touched on it already. I've got such a bad memory. But Justice League Snyder Cut reportedly won't do reshoots with main cast. Zack Snyder's Justice League reportedly won't have any additional work reshoots with the cast, as HBO Max denied this proposal from the director. Yeah, I don't believe that. Right, let's get something clear here. I was going to wait till I finish reading this. Zack wouldn't have come back. You know, he blatantly said on the Hollywood Reporter that he's happy that Warner Brothers are now allowing directors to have their artistic freedom and integrity. So this seems like a load of crap anyway. There will be no reshoots or additional work for Zack Snyder's Justice League, according to a brand new report. Fans of the release of the Snyder Cut movement are still thrilled with the news that Snyder will finally be able to bring his vision for the Warner Bros. And DC Films Ensemble project to life. While the new version won't be released in theatres, its rollout through HBO Max allows the filmmaker to be as creative as he can with regards to how he wants to finish his movie. You've just said he can't do reshoots or change anything. You're contradicting yourself. Snyder himself confirmed that his Justice League will be released through the upcoming streaming platform next year during his watch party of Man of Steel. Speculation regarding the much-clamoured cut finally seeing the light of day, despite Warner Brothers seeming indifferent to the matter for the longest time. Apparently, it was the second-year anniversary for the film when the release of the Snyder Cut movement received their biggest press, with the additional support from big names like Ben Affleck, Gal Gadot, that piqued the interest of the studio and led to talks with Snyder. With the news that Snyder's Justice League is releasing to the public, earlier reports have claimed that the filmmaker reached out to the cast for potentially coming back and doing some additional work. New information, however, reveals that this might not be the case. According to a report from Humberto Gonzalez on the Wrap podcast, while Snyder pitched this idea during his meeting with the Warner Bros. Executive, HBO Max declined instead. Any new material will be from post-production work. Yeah, I don't believe that. There's not going to be any reshoots of any kind with any actors, Gonzalez said. It's just additional dialogue. Here's something that hasn't been reported yet. Snyder did want to shoot, and he wanted to do additional photography, but HBO Max said no, that's not happening. We'll give you money for post-production, for special effects, for scoring, and even ADR, but no reshoots of any kind on this movie. This movie is basically one and done. This is close the loop to finish the story. Maybe not the whole story, because he did have like 3 or 5 picture plan. But this Snyderverse, I'll call it, will end with the Snyder Cut. Don't expect any spin-offs for Batman or with Ben Affleck as Batman or any of that. This is so funny. You see, Humberto, you did have the scoop. You did have the scoop, my friend. But now you're taking it too far. You know absolutely nothing. There is no way you can know any negotiations, right? Any negotiations between Zack and AT&T, Warner Media, and HBO Max. First of all, right, AT&T seem like a company testing the waters. So just imagine, right, if the Snyder Cut gets record-breaking streaming views and subscriptions and things like that, you don't think they want to continue. You don't think they want a Warner Max side of the DCEU. I'm sorry, my friends. This man is talking absolute rot. Don't let it dishearten you. I thank you, Humberto, for what you broke, but now you know nothing and you're just talking absolute nonsense. This was the man who said the Snyder Cut wouldn't happen. So if anyone who actually believes that the Snyder Cut is the end of the story, I'm sorry. You are absolutely deluding yourselves. AT&T have already hinted that it is possible for Ben Affleck to return as Batman. How do you think that's going to happen? Through the Warner Max DCEU of Zack Snyder, right? They're not closing the door, otherwise they wouldn't have said anything, right? They know potentially this could make them the platform of HBO Max, having a DCEU side to it, full of so much potential. So I'm sorry, Humberto, I don't believe a word you're saying. So whoever's telling you this, you need to check your sources. It's worth noting that this new information isn't from Warner Bros., HBO Max or Snyder, so it's best to take it with a pinch of salt. There's no set budget yet for the upcoming Justice League project, so there's no word yet on what the filmmaker is able to do for his version of the movie. For what it's worth, Snyder has also teased Martian Manhunter reveal fully, playing out in the film, which still needs to be shot. Exactly. Do you really think they're not going to let him shoot that, right? And didn't Zack put a picture of Swanwick, right, saying he's watching over them all, right? Why post that if he's not allowed to go and reshoot the element of the actor? Absolute nonsense, Humberto. You're talking nonsense. So where are we? Yeah. For what it's worth, Snyder's also teased Martian Manhunter reveal fully. Playing out in the film, which still needs to be shot, storyboards for the said scene feature Martha visiting Lois to offer some emotional support following the death of Superman, Henry Cavill. After Martha leaves, she transforms into Martian Manhunter before finally turning into General Swanwick, Harry Lennox. No word yet from Zack Snyder's Justice League will take when it releases on HBO Max next year. Reports say that it can either be a 4-hour movie or a TV miniseries. Basically, look, there's nothing wrong with the article, but Gonzalez is at it again. You see, he's getting a bit too big for his boots here, and he's getting a bit excited. As I say, right, they're testing the waters. Why do you think they're asking us to hashtag the Snyder Cut? Hashtag with all your hearts, because it's in their mind to have a Warner Max Snyder side of the DCEU. We made this possible. We can make that possible. It's up to us. So don't think the job is done. The job isn't done. The job is just beginning, my friends. Keep on hashtagging, even when they don't tell you to. How Superman's BVS death was foreshadowed in Man of Steel. I tell you what, Screen Rant do the best articles. Keep up the good work. During a Man of Steel watch party, director Zack Snyder explains how Superman's death in Batman v Superman was foreshadowed in Man of Steel by Hamza Hussein. Zack Snyder has explained how Superman's eventual death in the DCEU's Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice was foreshadowed in Man of Steel in 2013. Warner Brothers and director Zack Snyder led the foundation for what will become the DCEU with a Superman origin story. Man of Steel, the Henry Cavill-led Superman project, would eventually lead to the much debated and often criticised Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice and later 2017's theatrical release of Justice League, which saw a Superman hampered by poor CGI. The films were Warner Brothers' attempts to emulate Marvel's connected universe, and so there were interweaving links between the three Snyder projects, blah, blah, blah. Snyder has recently been delving into his past DCEU projects during this quarantine period for the well, conducting live commentary streams for Batman v Superman and more recently Man of Steel, offering fans a more in-depth look into his films, and even sharing the possibility of certain villains making a return in Man of Steel. A lot of events set up BVS, with apparent links being Superman's destructive battle with General Zod, leading to Batman viewing Superman as a threat. However, according to Snyder, a much subtler moment in Man of Steel is an indication of Superman's ultimate sacrifice in BVS. I want to read this because I didn't watch the whole of Zack's stream. I will be honest. I was on tenterhooks. I was being called out all the time. Very difficult. So let's see. I'm excited. During Zack Snyder's Vero watch party of Man of Steel, he discussed the deeper meaning to Clark's visit with the priest in the church before deciding to hand himself over to the military. According to Snyder, the scene, particularly the visual of a Jesus-like figure wearing a red robe in the background as Clark speaks, provides a link to Jesus' story as questions are posed about Clark's future, in a way setting up the sacrifice Clark eventually makes when using the kryptonite spear to kill Doomsday. Here's Zack. I really like this idea, this low angle with the stained glass behind Clark with these characters. This biblical figure with this red robe on kind of gives this notion it's Jesus, that like what is going to be asked of Clark, what kind of life of sacrifice and what kind of questions will he be asked and what will he be asked to give? If he gives himself to what he knows is morally right, what will be asked and what is he capable of? And I think that's part of this conversation with the priest. Wow, so deep, Zack. This is why we love the guy. He's giving these characters so much depth. He must remain. And I'm sorry, Umberto. Go and take a chill in a cold shower. You're not needed anymore, right? You broke the news. We don't need you anymore. We've got Zack for reference now. This man's vision must continue. I'm happy for the cinematic vision, but we've got another side here. And it's a great opportunity for the platform of HBO Max and for us to keep with Zack and his vision of the DCEU. Very important now, very. We must keep on hashtagging to make sure this happens. Superman's righteous approach and the symbolism of him being sent to Earth and becoming their saviour has naturally led to Jesus-like comparisons in this instance. The discussion of what's the right thing to do and the priest later mentioning sometimes you have to take a leap of faith first all makes sense in hindsight, but it likely didn't leap off the screen to fans as a moment that symbolised his eventual death on BBS, however. No, I didn't notice it, but I tell you what, I'll be watching out for it next time, so it's pretty awesome. It is a nice touch on Snyder's part, and the hidden messages like these are things that have encouraged the fans' support of Justice League Snyder Cut, which will finally see the light of day on HBO Max in 2021. It's never boring reading that again, is it? Just makes me smile and my heart, beautiful. These types of watch parties and the recent announcement of the Snyder Cut releasing on HBO Max will likely bring back fans to the discussion surrounding Cavill's future as Superman as well. While it's up in the air, a report did state Warner Bros. Is once again shifting their focus to Superman after pausing development of Supergirl. Right. I'm going to say this one last time, and I've got one more article to read, and then you can go and enjoy the rest of your day. Please don't go yet. I want to talk about this discussion. There are big announcements to be made about Superman. He will be announced to be in Black Adam. I've told you that ages ago. That's a foregone conclusion, especially now with Danny Garcia involved with The Rock and Henry. That's a done deal. That's going to happen. But I do believe in my heart that there is a future for Henry as Superman. I still think it's going to be on this side of the Warner Max platform rather in a cinematic future. But we will see, right? We will see about that. I still believe they're going to cast a second Superman. And this is very interesting. And I think this is going to be J.J. Abrams' Superman, a different Superman, a multiverse Superman. Some very interesting and exciting things are happening over at Warner Brothers, AT&T, and HBO Max. And everyone should be extremely excited. And finally, we're moving away from Snyder's DCEU. We're going back to the cinematic side. Screen Rant report, Birds of Prey concept art reveals a more comic-accurate Huntress costume. A new piece of concept art has been revealed showing a comic-accurate version of Birds of Prey's Huntress character played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead. A new piece of concept art has been revealed showing more comic-accurate version of Mary Elizabeth Winstead's Huntress from Birds of Prey. The DC female-led comic book film was released in early 2020, making a splash at the box office, grossing $201 million worldwide against a budget of $84 million. Look, it's making a splash at the box office, grossing $21 million worldwide, $201 million worldwide. You see, they're obviously putting it in a positive light. And it isn't a great amount of box office, but when you look at the profit margin, it's very, very good. Let's not forget that. That's a great profit. Like Shazam. I mean, Shazam doubled what they made. But at the end of the day, it still made money. It should have made more money. We don't know. Can we blame COVID-19? Can we blame the venomous nature of the film against men? We will never know. But it did make a healthy profit against a budget of $84 million. However, due to the greater financial success of its predecessors, the film was considered to be a box office disappointment. Also, the film had DC's lowest box office opening in over a decade, grossing only $33.2 million in its first 3 days of release. Birds of Prey follows Harley Quinn Margot Robbie after her split with her Joker, where she teams up with fellow female heroes Black Canary, Huntress, and Rennie Montoya to save a young girl from a cruel crime lord, Roman Sunois, Ewan McGregor. I don't know how to say that surname. Doesn't matter, does it? It's Roman. Our mate Roman, played by Ewan. The two most famous iterations of the Huntress character are Helena Wayne and Helena Bertinelli. The latter, which is played by Winstead. In the DC's film, Bertinelli is the daughter of a Gotham mafia boss who witnesses her entire family get murdered, vowing to seek revenge. In the aftermath, and I do think she at least had a really, really good arc in the film, and you did see some good flashbacks. Artist Greg Hopwood has released a piece of Huntress concept art that shows a more comic-accurate depiction of the character. The image shows the comic book character with long hair, sporting her iconic crossbow and an eye mask, wearing far more purple than the theatrical version of the heroine. The full image is below. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Let me show it to you. This is absolutely stunning. I'm going to rant after I read this. Look how amazing it is. Wondering why they're releasing this now? Because these characters and actors do have a future, but they're definitely going to be more comic book accurate. That's going to have to happen if this continues. Whether Kathy Yan's got a future with all this, I don't think so. Although the possibility of a Birds of Prey 2 remains unknown, that hasn't stopped speculation how Winston's Huntress could return to the DCEU. The character could possibly return in James Gunn's The Suicide Squad or in her own solo film. Who knows? For example, though, Winston's portrayal of the character was a bit different from the comics. It was still extremely well received, and many feeling she nailed the role. Yes, she did, and was one of the best parts of the film. The character has also popped up in the CW's Arrow, played by Jessica dceu, where the comic book character made appearances in the show's first 2 seasons. Naturally, this has led to a debate over which version of the Huntress was better. I don't particularly like the Huntress version on the Arrow show. I don't think she's terrible or played terribly. It's just not that compelling, and she just comes across too smug. I prefer this version, if I'm honest, but I don't think any of the versions are really, really great. I think they did a better job with it in this movie for sure, but I think the more appearances she gets in the DCEU, the better, and the better she'll become. She's a very good artist, she's a very good actor, and deserves more chances to play this character, opportunities. Huntress was one of the best facets of Birds of Prey, with Winston once again shining in an action-heavy role as she fleshed out the beloved comic book character in unique ways. This piece of concept art makes for an aesthetically superior look for the character, with the colours looking more suited to be seen, alongside a vibrant character like Harley Quinn. Regardless, Winston made an impact despite her dull character design, and became one of the film's standout characters. Though fans haven't seemed very upset over the character's look in Birds of Prey, they can get a peek at this alternative version of Huntress to indulge their curiosity. So let's look at the headline again. Birds of Prey concept art reveals a more comic accurate Huntress. Now, this is concept art. This is not fan art, right? So let's hold her up for you again, right? Let's hold her up for you again. Actually, I'm going to screenshot this right now, right? So let's have a look at her. We're back on Twitter. Look at how stunning this is, and it is comic book accurate. So that begs the bloody question, why not dress her like this in the first place? Why not dress all the girls up comic book accurate in the first place? Why couldn't Cassandra Cain be comic book accurate? If you did this, your box office would have been higher. You could have still gone up, you still could have made your stupid commentary about toxic masculinity, but you could have made it more comic book accurate. This is what all the rest of Walter Hamada's vision and movies so far have done. But because Walter had no choice but to allow Margot Robbie to have her own vision and bring in her own director, he couldn't touch this movie. They don't want to lose Margot. The experiment happened. It won't happen again. Margot won't be running anything again. She may get producer's credit. Failed experiment, made a good little profit. Fair enough. We move on. The film's on the shelf. It's cool. But at the end of the day, I'm just saying, if you had concept art like that, why wouldn't you use it? So that's about it for today's DCEU Daily. Wow, 43 minutes long. So I'm just going to finish off by reiterating this. We didn't have potential for anything before we won. What a week this has been. What a beautiful celebration. Forget the salty tears. Put them in a pint glass and down them and enjoy the taste of those salty tears. But now we have hope. We have a situation where anything is possible now. And all you have to do is keep on hashtagging Release the Snyder Cut and convincing these companies, HBO Max, Warner Media and AT&T, that Zack Snyder's side of the DCEU is worth persevering with. So don't listen to Humberto Gonzalez. Nothing is off the table. Nothing is on the table. Everything has potential now. So you can sit there and fantasize about a Warner Max DCEU. That makes you happy. Do it. Because I'll tell you something, it certainly makes me happy. Like, share and subscribe. Comment down below. And I'll be back tomorrow and every single day for the rest of my life with another DCEU Daily. See you again soon.